This podcast contains sensitive topics that may be triggering to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. This podcast is about real people sharing their personal experiences and opinions. The storytelling presented here is about holding space for others to feel seen and heard without judgment. Personal truths do not reflect guilt unless proven in a court of law. Remember to use your discernment and treat others with kindness. None of us are perfect. We cannot judge and hate humanity into love and growth. Thank you. Greetings, all of you sweet, sweet honeybees out there in the hive. Welcome to Humans in Bloom, a podcast by the Electric Honeypot Project. Life is a community garden. We are the flowers. It's time for us to get our hands dirty, plant some seeds, water ideas, and share our gardening tips. Let's grow together. I'm your magical host and friend, Everbee, the serious bee spirit, and I am so very grateful that you are joining me for today's episode. This episode is going to be deeply personal for me and honestly a little bit challenging to get through. I've been scared to make this episode, but I know that it is something that I need to do to lessen some of the burden I have been carrying within my own life. This episode will upset some of the people closest to me if they ever do listen to it. I don't know if they ever will, because the people closest to me have not been the people that have been supporting me. But I shouldn't care what they think anyway, because this is about my personal healing journey and my personal truth. By being vulnerable and sharing parts of my life, I really hope that it helps someone else out there that is carrying a similar burden in their own life. I just want you to know that you're not alone and you don't have to carry it on your own. This episode is mostly unscripted, but I do have an outline to try to keep me on track and hit everything that I want to hit. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Rain, rain, go away. Come again another day. At least that's what they say. It's what they teach kids to say. But I've always found comfort in the pouring rain and rolling thunder. Like a sweet lullaby to calm my nervous system, the rain, showers, wash away layers of grime built up with time. There is power found within that chaotic place where the lightning strikes, illuminating the darkness. I used to sleep through the storms of my own life, afraid to be seen or heard, oblivious to the power I could harness from the chaos, unaware of the medicine my tears held. Growing up, I was taught that I am supposed to hide my emotions, that there's something wrong with having feelings. I was shamed for crying. Anytime I expressed pain that I was in, it was met with anger by the adults in my life. They would threaten me with words, and when the words didn't work, sometimes I'd even receive physical punishment. If you grew up in a family like mine, you've probably heard the phrase, "Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about." My family has two faces. There's one face that's happy and smiling, that puts on a show for the public and for family holidays where there's large groups of us together. But then behind closed doors within the immediate family, there's a second face that isn't so pretty and polished. This face is full of anger and shame when expectations are not met. I have always been seen as the weakest link within my family because I cry a lot. I have always been a deeply emotional person ever since I was a child. I was the child that outwardly displayed the dysfunction that was happening behind those closed doors. My very existence threatened to reveal what was hidden, so they made me the scapegoat. I was the child and grew up to be the adult that was meant to carry the burden of all of the family's problems. They made me out to be the source of the problem. Recently, I tried to do a card reading for my YouTube channel, and I just straight up had a breakdown because of the cards that were coming out of the deck. They were just so relevant to my own personal life and the things that I'm carrying. The card Older Man came out, Liar, Betrayal. All of these relate to my uncle who used to be heavily involved in a church. He may still be. I believe he was a pastor. He puts on this mask of being this charity man. He's constantly donating, which some of the things he's donated were my mom's possessions that rightfully belonged to my sister and myself, but he took them for himself. And he presents himself as this person that cares about justice and law and order. Meanwhile, he hurts the people that are closest to him. Explosive anger behind closed doors, cheating on the women in his life, threatening his children with a belt, even hitting them with a belt. I've witnessed it myself during summers at my cousin's house, whether they want to admit it or not. And then there's the stuff that happened with my mom. He speaks in plural language when he talks about those responsible for the loss of my mom's life. His employee helped him steal a multi-million-dollar inheritance. I've been struggling to resolve the injustice against my mom and myself. I've been carrying this massive burden all on my own because I have been the only person actually advocating for my mom. I'm the only person that seems to care about the truth. No one else cares. The only thing that they really seem to care about is demonizing me because I care so deeply. My family has used my healing journey against me. They haven't cared about the things that I've experienced, my thoughts, or my feelings. I don't know why I would ever think that they would when they didn't even support my emotional well-being or protect me as a child. I was always alone. I lived in filth. I was spoken down to by the adults, yelled at, sometimes hit with a belt. I was forced into hospitals and put on medications because of the way that I responded to the abuse and neglect I was experiencing at home. I carried so much of this childhood pain into my adulthood. It has made my life extremely challenging. I have found myself in horrible relationships that mimic the instability and chaos that I grew up within. When I started finally caring about myself, I became the bad guy. And that's the truth about taking steps towards a healing journey. You're already the bad guy in their eyes. You're already the problem. But then when you finally start seeing the problems for what they are and you decide to choose yourself, everybody's going to be upset about it because they can no longer benefit off of you sacrificing yourself. I decided I was done sacrificing myself for people that only pretended to love me for show. Because of this, they took out revenge against me. My aunt and my uncle took out the inheritance. My uncle's employee and business partner helped him. The lawyer lied about all of it. And they decided to do this because I had the nerve to set boundaries that I wasn't going to tolerate it anymore. How dare I want better for myself? My aunt and my uncle have spent time gossiping about me, convincing everyone that I'm a terrible person that just likes to talk shit about them. Meanwhile, they've used my mother's murder to profit. They already had financially secure lives with nothing to worry about. They knew I lived in poverty. They knew my sister had a husband dying of liver failure and 2 kids. They knew she was the sole breadwinner. They didn't need the money, but they had to take it because what they have is not enough because of how miserable they are inside. Yes, it makes me really angry. My anger is something that they have weaponized against me, but isn't anger a normal response to being betrayed? Especially being betrayed by your family, people that claim to love you, people that are supposed to love you. Anger is a normal human emotion when someone hurts you so deeply. Still, I haven't sought revenge against them. I've thought about it. I won't lie. I have had some awful, awful thoughts about the things that I would like to do to them, but I haven't done it because I am not that kind of person. I do not allow that ugly side of me, a side of me that I inherited by this family, by the way. I don't allow that dark side of me to control me the way that they do. Instead, I use my dark side to become a truth teller. I tell the truth when no one else is brave enough to do it. If that makes me the villain, so be it. I would rather be hated for being honest and real than wear a mask to pretend I'm loved by people that hurt me. Recently, I have been stepping even further into removing that family cord. I told my sister that I want nothing to do with her or the rest of the family. I've already cut ties with my mom's side. I'm fully cutting ties with my dad's side. I've been afraid to stand up to my sister. She lives in a borderline hoarder house with roaches everywhere. She was always yelling and blaming her husband that was dying of liver failure for the state of the house. Meanwhile, she lives there too. She's also part of the problem. She would get angry when he wasn't home, but what she doesn't understand is he didn't want to be home because he wanted to be away from her and the mess. How do you heal a sickness when you are surrounded by sickness in your outer world? Her kids think it's completely normal. My 18-year-old nephew blames his stepdad, just like his mom does. Even now that his stepdad has died from his liver condition and they're still living in filth, they're still busy blaming the stepdad. My sister keeps buying things and she got a new dog to fill the void instead of actually taking care of the things that need to be taken care of. My nephew lies about the house getting cleaned up, makes excuses. When I challenged him on it, he got aggressive and tried gaslighting me, just like his mom does. The cycle of generational trauma continues because my sister hasn't cared about breaking it and wanting more for her children. I can't blame my nephew. He's still a teenager and he doesn't know any better. This is the example that has been set for him by the adults in his life. I didn't start understanding just how traumatic and dysfunctional my upbringing was until I was in my upper 20s. I was just like him as a teenager. I thought it was cool to be antisocial. I covered up for the adults in my life, and I didn't trust any of the adults that could have helped me and tried to be a safe space for me. I talked to him about how it's actually illegal not to report child abuse and neglect if you are over the age of 18. He accused me of talking crap about his mom when I'm the one adult that's trying to be honest. He brought up how serious my allegations were because his sister could be taken away. That's the problem. If nothing is wrong, his sister being taken away wouldn't even be a risk. If nothing was wrong, I wouldn't even be trying to have the conversation in the first place. There are multiple adults within my niece and my nephew's life that know about the conditions that they live in and my sister's anger, and they say absolutely nothing. My nephew's dad knows. My dad knows. My dad's wife knows. My dad's wife is even a teacher, but I'm not surprised she doesn't say anything because she has a track record of just talking badly about children at home in private rather than actually helping them. I've heard her say some nasty things about her students, particularly about the Black students that she has taught. I've straight up heard her refer to them as monkeys and talk about how nasty they are. And, here's the thing. The children that she's calling nasty are likely growing up in situations where their families are struggling financially and there's likely family trauma there. And I'm not connecting that to their race because this is happening in all kinds of households, regardless of race. But there are so many adults out there that are just looking the other way when it comes to children that need help. But then we want to talk about how awful it is that bad things are happening to children. It's hypocrisy. And the truth is, I have failed my nephew and my niece because I didn't speak up sooner either. I allowed my fear to control me. My sister represents all of the trauma that we both grew up in that I have been so afraid to confront and face fully. No one believed me as a child. So as an adult, I have felt like no one would believe me. And I mean, no one has believed me as I've been an adult trying to talk about the things that I've grown up in and what my aunt and my uncle have done. People just demonize me for speaking my truth. And I definitely felt like that would be the way with my sister because just like my uncle wears a really nice mask of this godly family man that cares about his community, my sister does the same thing. She's a hospice nurse. She cooks for charity. She's a devoted soccer mom. She was a caregiver to a sick husband. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, she was yelling at him and berating him. But all anyone ever saw was how she advocated for him online, at the doctor's offices. People only saw the pretty face. They didn't see the ugly face happening behind the closed doors. And then she's also been seen as this loving daughter to a murdered mom because she's the one that made the call to report my mom missing. But she really has not advocated for our mother at all. She's even shut me out of being involved and let my uncle be involved when it's my mom too. Like, she was my mom too. And she has cut me out because I am emotional. And I have emotions because I care. So I was cut out because I care. And she didn't care about how I thought or felt about any of it until she realized that all of this money had been taken. And then suddenly she wants me to be involved. It's not about the money to me. It's about the truth. But what I think and feel doesn't matter. It's just about what my sister thinks and feels. While she doesn't care, she has straight up told me that she just wants it all to be done and over with so she doesn't have to deal with it anymore. And here is the thing. Even if the truth is out there and my aunt, uncle, the lawyer, the man responsible, my uncle's employee, even if they all face justice, this is still something that I'm going to be dealing with for the rest of my life because I do care so deeply about it. Regardless of the relationship I had with my mother, she was my mother. I care regardless of the abuse that I endured. I loved her regardless of what I lived through as a child. And I'm the bad guy for caring. My sister takes her kids on all kinds of vacations and buys them all kinds of stuff. She has supported them in ways, but she also hasn't supported them in other ways. My dad did these exact same things when I was a kid while ignoring the abuse and neglect that was happening at my mom's house. These vacations and these gifts helped create happy memories of my childhood instead of just having all of these harmful, painful memories. But at the same time, it didn't change the trauma. In fact, ignoring what I was experiencing and neglecting my emotional well being caused more trauma within me. It damaged my relationship with my dad. And he's doing the exact same thing with his grandkids. He didn't protect me as a child, and now he's not protecting his grandkids. I haven't said anything because I have been scared to lose my sister's family. They're all I have left since my mom was murdered. I've gone no contact with the rest of my mom's family. My cousins don't talk to me. My dad doesn't check in on me, though. My dad doesn't even care if I'm alive or not. And it's all because I had the nerve to confront him about the awful things that his wife says about children and the way that she spoke to me and hurt me when I was a teenager. That was a problem for him and the rest of my dad's side of the family. I was expected to apologize for speaking up against a woman, a grown ass woman that gossips about children. I have sat by as my sister abused my brother in law while he was dying. She was yelling at him and getting angry with him up until the day he went into the hospital for the final time. I was alone with them in the lake house the last couple of days he was alive, and he fell and he's sitting on the couch in a complete daze, having a difficult time getting dressed. And she's like raising her voice at him for not getting dressed quick enough. And it's just like you could literally hear the liquid sloshing around inside of him. He was actively dying, and here she is still yelling at him. I've sat by watching her kids living in filth and within an emotionally volatile environment because I've been scared to confront my sister and become the target of her anger the way that I always have been. I tried to gently guide her to the answers rather than outright confronting her to try to avoid her anger, but she just denies that there's anything wrong. She really needs therapy. Like this is not about demonizing my sister. My sister is carrying her own trauma and she needs help and doesn't realize it. Back in March, I was in a car accident right in front of my sister's work after leaving my niece's soccer game. And my sister saw this wreck. She interjected, got involved without me asking her to. She called a tow truck without me first contacting my insurance, which I paid $80 for out of pocket when my insurance would have covered it. I had to wait on reimbursement when I'm struggling financially, and $80 is a big deal to me. And she's yelling at my insurance agent about the tow truck. I started crying once my sister got involved. And I'm just breaking down about everything I'm carrying. She acts like the cool, calm, and collected, like she always does when she's in front of other people, telling me to breathe, to just get through it. And then once everyone left and I started trying to share how much I am hurting and struggling, she started yelling at me about how I'm causing a scene in front of her work and she's not going to deal with it. And as she's yelling at me, I got more overwhelmed. And of course, I'm always the problem for how I respond to someone treating me. This situation gave me the courage to report her. I mean, my sister didn't even put sunscreen on my niece before her soccer game that morning because being on time was more important than making sure her daughter didn't get a sunburn. My own niece was like, "Mom, I think I would rather have sunscreen and be late than be on time and not have it." And my sister's just like, Yeah, you're probably right about that. It's just being late would affect my sister's mask of being this dedicated, perfect soccer mom that she presents to the world. After this situation, it gave me the courage to finally report her. I became the adult that I always needed. I felt guilty and shameful. I felt like I was betraying my sister. But that is literally the harmful programming that my family put into me to protect the abuse and neglect that they were perpetuating within my life. My sister's ego is not my responsibility. And it's not to get revenge against my sister. Nothing I do is about vengeance. My intentions in reporting my sister to DCS is for my niece to have a better life. My sister doesn't seem to want her to have a better life, and I'm hoping that this report changes that. I don't want my niece to be taken away because I know my sister does love her and my sister does do things for her kids. But I want my sister to finally admit that she needs help. I want my sister to be able to finally see the problems that are hurting her children. I want my sister to want better for her children and for herself, even if it means they all hate me for doing the right thing. My niece is nearing the age of puberty, and one of my sister's closest friends is a pedophile. It's one of her ex-boyfriends. My sister is 8 years older than me, and he's even older than her. He raped me when I was 16 years old. I was over at my sister and brother-in-law's mom's house for dinner, and my sister didn't want to drive me back home. Her ex-boyfriend was heading that way because he lives over there, so she asked him to drive me home. My mom wasn't home like normal. I had been groomed prior. I was scared to say no to him. He hurt me. I remember him saying afterwards, "I knew you were a freak, just like your sister." I feel really sick when I think about it. I still have messages on my Facebook Messenger of him saying he wished he had dated me instead, admitting my sister got upset when he said I was cute. She knew he was attracted to me while I was underage. The way he spoke about it, it sounded as if she was jealous. I saw her as my protector when I was younger. Even as she yelled at me and sometimes hit me, she was the one that took me away from the adults that were doing that. And the sad thing is, she was just a child herself, and she was forced to take on the role of a parent. Now, she's an emotionally unregulated adult that takes it out on those closest to her, just like the adults that she tried to take me away from. She helps others to avoid helping herself. Does she feel helpless or unworthy of help because she's always had to be strong? All this time, I have been so scared to lose what's left of my life. But the truth is, I've never had a real family to begin with. I've had hurt people performing to love me because they think that's what they're supposed to do. My dad didn't care about my emotional well being and what I was going through as a child. Why would he as an adult? Why am I still trying to have a relationship with him when he doesn't want one? My sister yells at me. She talks about me behind my back, even in front of her children. I heard my niece talking about the things my sister says about me to one of her friends, and her friend, an 11-year-old, a 10 or an 11-year-old, defended me against my own niece and my own sister. My sister excludes me from the good parts of their lives. When I was talking to my nephew, he told me that I don't care about him because I'm never there. I haven't been invited to be around. When I've asked about things happening, I don't always get answers to make it possible for me to be there. How am I supposed to be around when it doesn't seem like I am even wanted around? I've stayed behind in that filthy house to watch their dogs so that they could travel for my nephew's soccer games and their vacations. Vacations that they took with my dad that I was never invited on. I've watched their aggressive dog that bit me, cornered me, and could have attacked and potentially killed me anytime that I watched them so that they could do all this. I rushed over to make sure that my nephew was safe the day that that dog started a bloody fight with the other dogs. I was the one that finally helped convince my sister that putting the dog down was the right thing to do for the safety of her children. What if it had been her kids that that dog attacked instead of the other dog? I have put my own ambitions to move away from this place on hold so that I can stay in a house that triggers me to watch their dogs while my nephew tries to find a college that best works for him. I've told him that I'm always here to talk if he ever needs or wants to, but he doesn't want to talk to me. I have shown up how I can with what opportunities I have had, many that he doesn't see or understand. He told me that I don't know him because I've never tried to know him. I don't know everything, but I do know that when he was a little boy, he was obsessed with the movie Cars. He called it Cause, which was the cutest thing. I loved hearing him say Cause. He liked cars in general. We played together at the car museum in Chattanooga. We played in the sandbox together at the children's museum there. The way he said cause was a result of having tubes in his ears when he was little. He had a speech impediment because he was a little behind on talking from not being able to hear properly, and it made him a bit shy. I know that he likes the mountains over the beach. Every time they went to the mountains, pan mining was a must on vacation because he loved it. He loves crystals and minerals. At one point, his favorite food was steak. I don't know if that's still true, but I do know he loves burgers and buffalo chicken. His favorite subject is math, and he's his class historian. I'm really proud of him and all that he's accomplished. He plays soccer, but also referees when he isn't playing for pocket money. Wanting to continue playing soccer was a big part in choosing a college to go to. He also wanted to make sure he was going to a smaller school. That way his teachers could be more focused on the students. He likes to play games on his phone and his Nintendo Switch. He's a big fan of Mario, especially Mario Kart. He loves Scooby-Doo, just like I did growing up. So I spent money that I didn't have to spare to buy him a Scooby-Doo shirt for Christmas because I thought of him when I saw it. I also gifted him a crystal tower from my personal collection. I've realized that nothing I can ever say will change his mind or anyone else's in my family for that matter. They think I don't care. They think that I'm selfish. They think I'm a terrible person. The truth is, I notice many things, and that is what makes me the bad guy. I'm not supposed to see through the mask and the performance, but I do. Healing and being a truth teller can be a lonely existence sometimes. But I've realized that I would rather be authentic and real by myself than be someone and something I'm not to fit in somewhere where I don't belong. Maybe I'll find my place one day, the more me I become. I'm done settling. For every person or thing that I lose, I'm just making room for new growth. Freedom requires sacrifice, and I'm done sacrificing myself. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of Humans in Bloom. I hope this helps someone else out there that may be carrying similar burdens and feeling alone. I do put a lot of time, energy, and effort into my creative project, and This project is my full-time job right now. So if you're interested in supporting me, please consider leaving a tip. My Venmo and PayPal are Electric Honey Pot. You can also find me on Buy Me a Coffee under Electric Honey Pot. Tips are never expected, but they're obviously always appreciated because I do need to financially support myself. If you are interested in being a featured guest on Humans in Bloom, please be sure to check out my website, electrichoneypotproject.com, for more information. Submit a contact form at the bottom of the webpage. Don't submit to the one that's popped up. Please read, because that one is just for blog updates. Please submit at the bottom of the web page, including a short little message about you and the story that you would like to share, and I will be in touch. As always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, week, month, year, and life. Remember to be curious, question everything, but trust yourself. Most of all, stay sweet, honeybee. Sting when it counts.
But a one-way ticket on a hero's journey, awakened on earth. Yes, I am back again, forging my path to ascension. My mind greater than any weapon.